Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few of the basic methods of unwrapping in 3ds Max. Quick planar map, cylindrical map, and pelt map. So there are other unwrapping techniques, however, these are the basic methods and the methods you'll find that you use the most. So your job as a games artist is to identify the quickest and the most effective way of unwrapping for each model you work on. Okay, so the first step, and hopefully the step that we all know, is that we need to add the unwrapping modifier to our game object. So with it selected, we want to go over to the modifier list, drop it down, and we want to start typing in unwrap. And this is the modifier we want, unwrap UVW. If we apply that to our model, you'll see it goes to the top of our stack and it changes all of the toolbars. So first thing to note is our three tools at the top here, vertex, edge and polygon, much like the edit poly mode. And the first unwrapping tool we're going to start with is quick planar map. Now quick planar map is the tool you're going to use the most, and it's particularly effective with hard surface models. Okay, so the way it works is with our face tool selected, if we select a face, it projects a flat plane on that face the best it can. So this yellow bounding box, that is the projected plane. Okay, so if we've got multiple faces selected, you'll see the yellow box changes because it's trying to do its best to get an angle on both faces. But because this is a 90-degree angle here, you know, it's not going to do a very good job. It works best on flat surfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and quick planar each of these faces. Okay, and I'm going to open up my UV editor. And I'm just going to drag each one out. So I just want to focus on our edit UVW window and some of the tools in it. So at the top we've got our move, rotate and scale tool, shortcut W, E and R, and at the bottom we've got our four selection tools, the vertex, edge, polygon and element, 1, 2, 3 and 4. When we unwrap, element works a little bit differently. So instead of selecting the whole model, element will just select each individual island, and that's what these are. These are called islands. So at the minute we've got 6. Sometimes when we use the quick planar tool, our faces will come into the unwrap all at different scales. So if we turn on our checker pattern using this drop down menu, you'll see that all our checkers are different sizes, and we want to try and keep these as consistent as possible. So to fix that, if we highlight all of our islands and scroll down, there's a tool called rescale element. By clicking that, that should scale everything proportionately. So the next thing to know about is seams and stitching. So if we look at each face at the moment, you'll see that all the way around it we've got green lines. Now there are seams, okay? And what stitching does, if we go onto our edge tool and we click one of our edges, it highlights another edge in blue. Now that edge is going to be the edge that stitches to our selected edge. So if I right click and click stitch, you'll see it flips around and welds to that edge. You'll also notice on the model that that green line has disappeared. Now why that's good for us is that when it comes to texturing, where these two faces meet on that edge, if we have the texture on this face and the texture on this face will line up on that edge, whereas if there's a seam here, they might not line up. So what we want to do is we want to stitch as many edges together as possible, thinking about where the player will be able to see them as well. So I've stitched them all together, and some seams are just unavoidable. Like for this cube, we're going to have quite a lot because it's a hard surface model. You'll find that every single model has to have at least one seam. So that's stitching things together. A couple of other tools you might want to know about is the snaps tool. So the snaps toggle here, we're on our vertex selection tool, and we turn that on, we'll be able to snap verts to each other like that. That's useful if we want to line things up. And another thing is your alignment tools at the top of the page, at the top of the toolbar. So if I select two of my verts and I click vertically align, you'll see they align on the y-axis, and the same for horizontal align, like that. Right, so cylindrical map tool, can we guess when that is used? So I'm going to start off by adding an unwrap modifier. And before I show you the tool, I'm just going to show you that we can actually unwrap a cylinder using the quick planar tool. So if I select each face individually and pull them out like this, we can then stitch each edge together. But as you can tell, that's going to take a long time, so instead we use the cylindrical map tool. So we want to make sure everything's selected apart from our top and bottom face, and we want to click cylindrical map here on the right hand side. So as you can see, that's created, well, projected a cylindrical shape over our object, and for me it's a little bit too high, so I'm just going to drag it down to fit my model as accurately as I can. Okay, so you'll still notice that our checkers are squished. That's because it's just trying to pack it at the same time. So we turn off cylindrical map and we move it out just for a second, and we select one of our scaling tools here, probably the freeform mode, and if we hold down shift so it locks our movement on one axis, we can just squish that down until our checkers are a nice even size. We can then move that into our packing area. Okay, but it is a cylinder, so we are going to have to use the quick planar tool as well in conjunction with the cylindrical tool for the top and bottom face. So if I click each one and click quick planar, we can get both of those, and again select all of my islands, scroll down, rescale elements, and now everything's scaled proportionately. Everything has the same size checkers, and now we can just scale it down and pack it into our little square. So the last method, and the most advanced method of unwrapping, is called pelt map. Now, pelt mapping can be used on any model. However, we tend to use it more in the organic models, as the flow of topology is a lot smoother and we've got faces looking in all directions. So pelt mapping is heavily focused on seams, and the best way to think of it is just how it's described, a pelt map. So picture an animal, where would we cut into its fur in order to spread it out onto a flat surface? Or maybe a less gruesome image would be like a t-shirt. Where are the stitching seams in a t-shirt? They're the seams that we need to add manually to our model. So at the top right of our toolbar, under configure, there's two checkboxes, one called map seams and one called peel seams. So map seams are the ones that are automatically generated by Max, and they're these green ones here. So if I turn it on and off, you'll see the green going on and off. So when we're using the pelt map tool, we don't want map seams on. We want it to use our own seams only, okay? And our own seams are called the peel seams, and they'll look exactly like the map seams, except they'll be blue. So we want to keep that one on. So down at the bottom of the toolbar, under the peel section, these are all the tools that we're going to use, specifically edit seams and point-to-point seams. So if we turn on point-to-point seams and click an edge on our model, you'll see it goes blue, right? So now we've started adding in our seams. So I'm going to go all the way around the top of the cylinder and all the way around the bottom, like that. So if we accidentally go wrong, we accidentally put like a seam there and a seam there, the way we get rid of it is we go to edit seams, we hold down Alt, and we click those two blue lines that we don't want. Okay, so back on the vision of the pelt, the cut would be through the stomach, so we also need to add that line onto our cylinder, you know, the line where it's going to split and it's going to unfold on. So we just need one line there. Okay, so on our polygon selection tool, turn off point to point seams. We're just going to select a poly and we're going to use this tool here, and what that will do, it will just select all of our polys up until these seams. So as these will be separate islands, these won't be selected. Okay, so with all of those selected, we're going to click our pelt map tool, and that will bring up a new box. It will bring up edit UVWs, and it will also bring up the pelt map box. So the two buttons that we're going to use on this one is start pelt and start relax. So make sure we've got all of our faces selected, and we're going to click start pelt. And you see it changes in our edit UVW, right? So if we turn on our checkered pattern, you'll see that it started to do it, but we've still got a few errors here. We've still got like super stretched checkers on this side by the seam. To fix that, we're just going to click start relax, and as you see, it pulls them all out. And if we update our checker pattern, you'll see they're a lot neater, so we can straighten that up a bit. You'll see our checkers are a lot more consistent. So once we're happy with that, we can click commit, and there we go. Our unwrap is complete for that section of the model, so we can rescale it and do whatever we want. That is its own island. But because it's a cylinder, we're going to have to quick planar the top and the bottom again, like we did before. But like I said, we tend to use pelt mapping on the more organic models. So I've just got someone's hand model here, and if I've gone ahead and I've already added in the blue seams. Okay, so what I've tried to hide the seams as best as possible, so where the player is less likely to see them. Okay, so same process as with the cylinder. So I'm going to expand to fill the seam boundaries, click pelt map, start pelt, start relax, and if we turn on our checker pattern, it does a pretty good job. I'm going to click commit and just move it to the side. Okay, same with this finger, start pelt, start relax. Okay, looks like these two edges are split here, so I'm just going to stitch those together. So as you can tell, if we use the cylinder tool to try and get these fingers, they're a bit bent and they're on a weird angle, so the cylinder tool probably wouldn't do a very good job of it. But with pelt mapping, it doesn't matter how straight the finger is, it does a pretty good job anyway. So start pelt, start relax. So I'm just going to do that for all the fingers. Oh, looks like I forgot to put a seam in this one. So it's going to bring it up and bring it just slightly over the top of the finger. And try again. Start pelt, start relax. There we go, much better. So you'll notice at the top there is still some stretching, but that's unavoidable. You're going to get some stretching where there is seams on organic models. We've just got to try and mitigate that as much as we can. So that's the fingers done. We just need to do the plane of the hand, and we could do the palm and the back of the hand together. So I'll put one seam down this side. As you can see on this side, there's no seam. And what I'm going to do, expand, so it selects all the faces, start pelt, and start relax. And as you can see, it unfolds that hand, and we get nice, even checkers. Okay, I'm happy with that. So commit, straighten it up. So we want to select them all, rescale elements, and now we can scale those down and pack them into our box. So like I said at the start, it's about knowing which method to use in which situation. That's really where your speed's going to come from. I know unwrapping can get tedious, But in order to speed up, you've got to know these different methods.